Hey, Al, what's going on?
Pretty good, man. How you doing? Look, I had
Good.
a haircut. I cut it myself.
You cut your hair yourself?
Yeah, I've been doing it for years, man. Yeah.
That is
Well,
amazing.
what happened is I had the same lady that cut my hair for many years, but she's in Miami. I moved to Broward, and it was like a pain in the ass. So then I started getting haircuts from all different type of people, and they were screwing up my hair. So I was coming home and fixing it myself. So I said, screw it. I spent more time fixing my hair what they did wrong. I started cutting it myself, and I've been doing it for 7 years at least.
How are they screwing it up?
Well, they weren't cutting it the way I like it and the way my other girl did my hair. So I have to fix it so to make it look the way I liked it. So I figure if I'm doing that already, I might as well go ahead and cut the whole fucking thing.
I would love to see you get a haircut and see that dialogue.
With myself?
Yes.
What are you talking about? I get a haircut by myself.
No, I would love to see you in the barber chair and have them going, how does this look? And have the feedback. I mean, how many times did you go to that person and cut your own hair afterwards before you?
No. You didn't hear me. What I said was that when I stopped using that same girl, because it was too far to drive, I started going to get haircuts everywhere. Like on the cruise ship, I would get a haircut.
Yeah.
Then when I came home, I got a haircut here. When I was in Bumfuck, Tennessee, I would get a haircut there. So I started getting people that, sometimes it takes more than one time to cut somebody's hair. And I have a lot of calics. So I mean, I can understand how they could not get it right the first time. But now I stuck with a haircut I don't like that I just spent $25 on.
So
I go home and fix it. So,
I don't have this problem. I love that I don't have this problem.
Of course not.
I remember when I shaved, losing my hair. First of all, I had very long, thick, wavy, curly hair. And around my 20s, I noticed the smallest spot on the crown here. And I went to the hair club for men. I was sitting in the lobby, and they saw me, and they were laughing at me. They're like, what is wrong with you?
What are you doing here?
You have more hair than Eddie. I remember the girl who used to cut my hair in my 20s. She said to me, you will never go bald, ever. I said, why? She goes, I can't find your scalp. I cannot find your scalp.
Yeah, so, well, your scalp found you, my friend. He found you.
We've been reunited. Over the years, and I had the hairstyle of, like, I had the Steven Seagal ponytail in the 90s. And so I noticed it was getting thinner and thinner. So when I first started doing comedy was when I cut my hair, and you couldn't even tell my hair was thinning because it was so wavy. But one day I was on a ship, and I was doing, you know how they have the big monitors next behind you on the stage? So I looked over and I saw the back of my head, and I went, oh my God. And I went home, and I looked in the mirror, and I was doing a comb over. I started to do the comb over, and I said, no.
Oh, God.
I was going to do the comb over. I was very depressed for many years about losing my hair. So I shaved my head, and thank God it came out okay. And I went to the ship the next day, and I did a show, and everybody it was very.
And what has been the response? What have been the response?
Very positive
from people.
Very, very positive.
Really? Well, yeah, they are lying to you, Mike. Okay. I'm here to tell you that they're lying to you. That's not what they're saying when you're not around. Okay.
All right.
Just so you know.
I know, but I did look up on the internet. Do women find bald men sexy?
It is now. It is in our culture now. It is sexy. There's a lot of sexy men that have shaved their head off.
And it's weird. Like,
it is.
My dad's generation, like, losing your hair was a big deal. Like if you still have a full head of hair, that is a huge deal. That's important,
Oh yeah. I know.
But shaving my head, shaving my head was a freeing experience. Very freeing, man.
Good for you, buddy.
Yeah, it was. It was a very freeing experience. So anyway, we have a great show tonight. We have some upcoming great shows I'll tell you about a little bit later. But I want to get our guest in here. We have a great guest tonight, good friend of mine. He's been doing comedy for a little while, and we've become good friends, and he's going to be on the show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Stand Up Guy radio show, Roscoe Nash, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. There's Roscoe. Very nice. Very nice, Roscoe. And that's a very creative background you have. How long did it take you to do that?
This is actually a sheet.
It's a what?
A bed sheet.
Bed sheet. Okay, we didn't know that. But
My neighbors.
Just so I can check in with everybody. Al, can you see out Roscoe?
Yeah, and I see see the stain to the left of his
Shut
ear.
up,
You
Al.
see it on the sheet.
Gross. That's gross.
What are you talking about?
We don't. This
Look
is an adult show.
A family show?
No, adult.
You taking like a low-hanging fruit this early, man?
It's a family show.
We've
family show.
This is episode 3. We did our first one together. Then we had Oscar Calazos last week, which was great. He's a friend of ours, and we had a lot in common. And I've been thinking of like, who do I like talking to? Who do I enjoy? But none of those people were available, Roscoe. So I
felt that coming. I felt that T-bone. I was like, oh, shit.
I just went through. Everyone said no until I got to the R's. And then you said yes. No. Yeah. Who do I enjoy talking to? Who has a love for stand-up like we do? Who's a smart guy that I like talking to, that I respect and admire? And you've been very supportive of me. I've tried to be supportive of you. And I just thought,
do you realize that you have just disqualified us for our own show? What you said, that you want people in this show to be a certain way, this, that, and the other. You just disqualify us.
Do we disqualify
ourselves? We don't have any of those qualities. Yeah, we don't have any of those qualities.
You don't have any of those?
We're demanding qualities from our guests that we don't have it.
You don't have any of those qualities? Okay. So let me bring in Roscoe.
I was thinking about you, but I didn't want you to.
I know. So, see, Al and I knew this was going to happen because Al and I had an issue last week. We did it. We had a moment on the phone. And my dilemma was, do we go back to address it or do we just brush over it and move on? And we decided that we moved on. We haven't addressed it. So there may be some passive aggressive.
But we will.
No, it's too late. It's over.
No, it's not. It's never
too late. Okay, maybe we should. Okay, I'll tell you what. We should talk about it on here.
No, that's not right.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah. How
this
about
is fresh? This is reality TV. Bring it.
Okay.
So, Roscoe.
No, Al, let's deal with it now. Let's talk about it now.
Deal with it now.
Let's deal with it now.
Because I think it's something personal. I don't think that we discuss it in public. Yeah, that's my personal opinion.
Okay, I respect that. So okay. I'll put you in the waiting room, and me and Roscoe will talk about it, and then we'll bring you back.
Let's do it that way.
No, we just had Al and I have been friends for 30-something years. This is what I decided. I won't talk about the issue, but this is what I decided. I decided, because I can get mad very easy, and I can just cut people off and cut things out of my life. And I was like, look, and I told Al this too. We've been friends. I'm not going to let a podcast ruin a friendship of 35 years. I'm not 30 years. I'm just not going to do it. It's just ridiculous. And everyone's on edge. I'm on edge. Everybody's going through a rough time. I also have to learn that, maybe there is something wrong with the way I think and the things I see. So I used that, and that's why I'm still here. So anyway, but we'll talk, me and Al will talk about it. Anyway, Roscoe, you're here. Let's talk about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how we know each other and what's going on in your life and what's happening, brother.
Before we get to that, let me just encapsulate what you just said. He's totally wrong, and I'm totally right. No, hey, Roscoe, tell your story.
So, I met you 3 or 4 years ago? 3 years ago, right? When I first
got to stand. Where did we meet?
I opened up for you at the Laughing Comedy Cafe.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I'm a retired New York City sanitation worker and also a yoga instructor. And I got into stand-up comedy 3 years ago when I always wanted to do stand-up. When I was a kid, I would stay up late with my dad. We'd watch Saturday Night Live, which is sketch. And I said, I want to do that, Dad. I saw Gilda Radner and John Belushi, Chevy Chase.
I did that with my dad, too. That's what I did with my dad. Yeah.
And we stayed up late. We watched. I said, Dad, I want to do that. Do I have to go to college for that? What do I have to do to do that? He goes, you don't want to do that. You want to be a lawyer. So I became a garbage man.
Good.
Yeah.
I can follow the dots. I can connect those dots. Yeah,
I throw out trash. They defend it. No. And yes. So on my dad's deathbed, he saw me having fun with the nurse, making her laugh, the doctor, and then the janitor came by. I was, laughing with them. He goes, you connect with all walks of life. He goes, why don't you do what you always wanted to do? And I'll be honest with you, I didn't have the balls to do it all these years. I did a lot. I opened up 2 yoga studios, 3 at one point. And I'm also a manual therapist. I do body work. I do deep tissue work. I did over 2,000 hours of training for that. I learned every muscle, every nerve. And I did all that, but I still felt there was something missing, because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do at 6 years old. That's your true calling, when you really want to do something at 6 or 7 years old and you feel it. And and I watched my dad's regrets outweigh his accomplishments, and he was telling me at one point in bed, take me to the Grand Canyon. I never saw it. And I knew I couldn't take him to the Grand Canyon. So I said, I'm not going to be, 80 something years old and regretting anything. So I went full steam ahead.
Wow. So he
stopped since.
On his deathbed, he gave you one of the greatest gifts of all, was to teach you not to have any regrets.
Yeah. And he did it in front of my son. So when my son sees me working hard with the comedy, he says, he tells Ruby, he says, no, Pop told Daddy to do this,
Nice.
And it was
That's
just,
nice.
It was a big eye opener, because we always had comedy. Like, he would take a nap in the hospital and he'd wake up and I'd have a pillow right over him and he would laugh. We'd have that sick humor. He had me watch, listen to Lenny, Lenny Bruce. And actually how it happened was the nurses were there and the doctor was there. I took a glove from the nurse's station, from the cart. And I just walked in and I went, I know he had a heart attack. And I put on the glove. I go, but did anybody check his prostate? And I lifted up and I'm tickling his inner thigh. He's laughing. The doctor's laughing. But it was a big misdirect, because they thought I was angry. And I didn't know it was a misdirect. An emotional shift. I didn't even know I was doing that type of comedy. And that's when he says, look what you made. And then the day before with the janitor, whatever I said, I just love connecting with people. And people always say, why don't you do stand-up? I said, I'm a door-to-door stand-up. I do one-on-ones,
Yeah.
Or mad. Even my kids in the car at Starbucks were going through the drive-thru. Ruby says years ago, she goes, Dad, you always have to try to make everybody laugh. So,
yeah, my daughter tells that to their friends. My daughter tells that to her friends. Don't laugh. Don't encourage him. Don't laugh. You're encouraging him. And then my daughter once told me, says, you're not funny. And I go, I'm not funny. Everything in this house is because I'm funny. Everything that you own in your life is because I'm funny. The car that you're driving is because I'm funny. What do you mean I'm not funny? If I'm not funny, you'll be starving to death.
Yeah. But then the neighbor down the street.
Mike, did you say that you
Go ahead, Al.
Did you say that you watch did you say you watch Saturday Night Live with your father also?
Yes.
No, I'm talking about Mike.
Oh yeah. I watched the Saturday Night Live with my dad, John Belushi, the original cast. That was our big John Belushi, was our favorite person, our favorite character.
Yeah.
See, my father didn't speak English, so I could not have that emotional connection with him.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm fucking with you guys.
Did you at least,
Mike, really, seriously.
Did you at least play with a speaking spell with him?
I mean, I was wondering.
No, you know what I used to do?
What?
No. I tell you what I used to do. They used
What?
to drive me fucking crazy because they didn't speak English. So they will tell me, what did he say? And I go, if I tell you what he said, then I don't hear the next line. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. So why don't we wait for the commercials and I'll tell you what happened. So when the commercials came, I will tell them a completely different story that was actually happening.
That's funny.
After a while, they stopped asking me.
Yeah. So Roscoe, so you jump in, about 3 years ago to stand up?
Yes.
And
No, 3. Yeah.
Did your expectations, what did you experience, and did it meet your expectations, or what have you experienced so far since you jumped into this comedy world?
You gotta, you gotta put the work in. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta write, rewrite. You know, if something doesn't work a few times, you gotta rewrite it. It's not just gonna magically become funny. You know, you gotta, and I never blame the crowd. I always try to bring whatever I can to any audience, and if it doesn't work, I put it on me. So you point the finger, you got three fingers pointed right back at you, not to be like, you know, and that's why I learned. You just got to do it's all about the writing. You know, I mean, you can get caught up in the performing, you know, too much. I think a lot of times some people can perform too much where they're not doing enough writing, and you get addicted to the dopamine, the high of the performing.
Yeah.
And if it's the same joke not working, you got to go back and rewrite it. And
so that's a tremendous advantage that you have, because I don't have that quality at all, and I think Mike is the same way. I can't write comedy. I have to experience it. Something have to happen with me, and then out of that situation, I create a joke. But I can't sit down and write, man. I wish I could. I envy you. I wish I had the ability to do that. I don't have the ability to sit down and write comedy. If you put a pen, I can write books, I can write sketches, I can write, you know, screenplays. But if you put a piece of paper and a pen and tell me to write something funny, nothing comes to my mind. Mike, how about you?
Oh, I'm the same way. I'm very experiential I have to be interacting. Most of my jokes or bits came either from talking to someone on the phone and making them laugh, or saying something in the car that really happened. Like, for example, you know, when I say I went into 7-Eleven and the guy in front of me was purchasing a banana and Vaseline. I live in a gay neighborhood. You know, I lived in a gay neighborhood. Banana and Vaseline, and my girlfriend was like, well, "What's wrong?" I go, "The guy in front of me was purchasing a banana and Vaseline." She goes, "Oh my God, what did you do?" I said, "What do you think I did? I bought my condoms and doggy treats and got the hell out of there." And it was
exactly, but you would have not thought of that.
Yeah,
right.
And she laughed, so I put it in. The next time I did a show, I incorporated it in. I do find it hard to sit and just write. Now, sometimes if I'm watching the news, I will post a lot of things on Facebook, or I seem to get a rush of ideas and creativity. And then that's why I make a whole bunch of posts, and I see, like, if I get any likes or reactions, then I know it has potential. And writing with other people is hard for me. My friends used to write in the beginning, and they were all smoking weed and I didn't, so they wouldn't invite me. And then I found out they were writing across the street, but they would write stuff that they thought was funny because they were high, and I didn't think it was that funny. But anyway, but yeah, it's hard for me too. A lot of stuff comes to me on stage, like while I'm actually talking to the audience. When I'm in the mode where I have to entertain and I have to make people laugh, my brain just kicks in. So a lot of stuff happens on stage. So what happens is, after I get off stage, if something happened, I write that down right after I get off stage. So.
Yeah. I like I said to Roscoe, I mean, I envy him that if he has the ability to sit down and write, I can't do it. I mean, and you know, what happens that limits your material, because if every time you have to have an experience with something in order to write a joke, I mean, you know, that really limits your ability to write.
You can write off.
I just called upon memories that I had.
Yeah. But it does allow you tax-wise to write off a lot of experiences with people. So if I write a joke while I'm on a date, I write the whole thing off because I wrote a joke while I was there. So the whole dinner.
That's funny.
So, and you're also.
Like, I'll sit down and.
No, that's true. I mean, hey, I've been.
Go ahead.
Do that for years, man. To go out to dinner with somebody.
Well, I'll sit down with the pen and the paper, and I have a highlighter, and I'll think of memories from sanitation or at the yoga studio. And Joe DeVito was one of my mentors, one of my main mentors, and very funny comic, Joe DeVito, very great writing, shortens everything. And in his class, I took his writing course in New York a couple of times, actually. He goes, "You got to write what is before you write what's funny. So I never tap the pen and go, what's funny? So I'll think of something funny that happened,
Right.
and then I'll just write about it. And as I write something funny, I highlight it and keep moving.
Yeah.
And then I don't.
Go ahead.
And I just keep moving and I highlight again. And then I go over like 10 or 12 pages and I take all the highlighted parts. And then that's how my bit comes. And it always has a nice button at the end. And it's just, I don't tap the pen. Well, what's funny about that? I write what is. And all of a sudden you become a wise ass after a few pages. You know, you start going, oh, you know.
And I tell my students,
Yes.
I tell them, I go, just tell me about your life or whatever. And I go, and don't try to be funny. And they go, I don't understand. This is a comedy class. I go, no, don't try to be funny.
Yeah.
And I was taught that because I studied improv with Stuart Solomon in Miami, where improv was not meant to be funny. Improvisation is improvisation. It can be funny, but until that show came out, Whose Line Is It Anyway, where it was always going in that direction, I was always taught, operate at the top of your intelligence and, you know, and don't add anything to the scene if it's not needed. And, you know, and sometimes it would be funny and sometimes it wouldn't be funny, just improvisation. So being funny, I think, look, here's what I think. I think laughter is an orgasm in the brain. I think it's like sex with an audience. And if they don't like you, they're not going to let you inside their brain. And if you look uncomfortable, they're going to be nervous and they're going to feel like they have to please you. So they're not going to enjoy themselves. So I think the key is confidence. And I had that experience one time before I was going on stage. I was backstage memorizing my set back when I was doing stuff at Christopher's. Al remembers. Yeah. My girlfriend at the time ripped the notes out of my hand and she goes, look, you either know it or you don't. Now get out there. And I went in the bathroom and I looked at myself in the mirror and I did the most narcissistic pump up you've ever seen. I went out on stage and I crushed, and it had more to do with the confidence than it did the material. I felt, I know it did. I know it did, you know, and then once you get that experience, you are a good writer and you have that, you can put that all together and have good shows. But the other thing you're into that wish I was into, I did Tony Maria's Wedding and a few other plays and stuff, and I didn't do bad, but you're into acting and you pursue that a lot, and you think I should too, and you're right, I should try that, but you're pursuing acting.
Yes, I always want to get into it to help the comedy, and I was talking to Christopher Roach, and he was on Kevin Can Wait, and I saw him at Gotham, and I was asking him questions about the acting and stuff, and he said, he mentioned Joanna Bexon. And Joanna Bexon works with the opposites, with acting and, you know, little emotional shifts. And so I took Joanna Bexon's class over 2.5 years ago. And it was phenomenal for me because we would do dramatic scenes. And I wanted to help my comedy. And I'm like, oh, we're doing dramatic scenes, but be able to do the drama and cry and the anger and the rage and some laughter in there help my stand-up. But now I fell in love. I have an affinity for the acting on its own, especially in this time. When I'm not on stage, I'm working with one-on-one. I got into that. It's one-on-one NYC and LA, and you can do Zoom classes, you know, in front of casting agents. They're not auditions, but they're classes in front of casting agents, and at least you get on their radar. Directors, agents, managers, and several times a week, I got to learn new scenes, and the kids see me working hard to memorize these scenes, and you know, whether they're comedy or drama, it just keeps me juicy. I like the term, like, just keeps me nice and juicy in this time when I can't get on stage.
And so how did,
I think you'd be great at it.
Father Coulihan, how did he come about?
He came about, I'm glad you asked that. He was part of a bit about my mother's depression. And I was in a seminary, and I got expelled. Well, I didn't get expelled from the seminary. The principal, Father Coulihan, kindly asked me to get the hell off that property. And take your cheese sandwich with you. Nobody wants it, which was a callback. And you got to hear the bit, but the cheese sandwich with you is a callback to something else. And it was about my mother's depression. She was so depressed, she had struggled with simple tasks. Like every day she sent me to school with the plain cheese sandwich. It's the easiest sandwich to make. And at lunchtime, the hardest one to trade. Just trying to trade the cheese sandwich. So at the end of the joke, I got expelled years later from high school, and he goes, as if I still have a cheese sandwich, take your cheese sandwich with you. Nobody wants it. And for the love of God, would you wear yourself some sunscreen? And the kids were running around the house, Al, and they were screaming like 3 years ago, "Take your cheese sandwich with you." No one wants it. And that's when I said, this guy has to be a character because the kids resonate with that voice, and they created him. He was just the guy in my stand-up band, but they created Father Coolahan, who's an emotional wreck.
I love Father.
That's great. That is a great character. That is a great character.
He's very good. I watch all your videos online of Father Coolahan. I mean, you really do that character. You really are that character. It's really great.
Did you take any acting lessons yourself, Mike?
Me, Al?
Yeah.
No, I took one or two. When I kept getting acting gigs in plays and things like that, like Tony and Maria's Wedding, and I wrote some plays for kids about drugs and alcohol, illiteracy, domestic violence, aging, gangs. We do these things called plays for living, and I would do some acting. And then I was with all these actors, and I was like, how can I be an actor? And they're like, take some classes. And I'm like the worst student. I don't know. Back then I was very shy and I was afraid to go on stage. So maybe that has a lot to do with it. But I didn't. And now I think after talking to Roscoe today on the phone, I might look into what he was talking to me about, because I did this movie recently with Matt. I did my audition online and I sent it over, and the director was like, this guy's great. This is the perfect guy for the movie. Yeah. And so that's my first audition I've ever done online, and I got the part against other people. So I mean, I should do it just to be doing it, no matter what the outcome is. Why do you ask, Al? Al, why do you?
No, we want to find out. I'm trying to find out. I mean, I took acting. I told you I took acting with that woman, Ruth Foreman, down here in Miami. Yeah. And but when I was in New York, I took some great acting classes with Bill Hickey. Remember the guy from the all emaciated old guy, which is a great actor, and that was great, man. I really enjoyed it. Carl and I we can talk about it next time when we have Carl as a guest.
But don't you find it was much easier to do silent movies?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, you have to move your arms a lot. You can get a shoulder dislocated from doing all of this.
How do you audition for a silent movie, Al? Come on.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But Carl and I were acting partners there. But then when I lived in LA, I took the method acting. You know what a method acting is, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the method acting?
Yes.
Acting method. It's called method. Okay. Well, in the method acting, there's an exercise called a private moment, which is you're supposed to do in front of a class something that you only do in private. And the thing is to break you down from inhibitions for women to do nude scenes and, stuff like that. And all the girls did the same thing. They all took their clothes off and walk around, in panties and brushing their hair or something like that. But Shelley Winters, you ever heard that story about her?
Yeah.
What she did?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a private moment. She took a dump in the middle of class.
On stage.
On stage in the middle of the class for the class, Well, it's a private moment. You cannot argue with her.
And what
it was as you can get.
I wonder what the reaction was from the class.
They never finish the story that way. They always finish it with her taking a dump.
Yeah.
The curtain comes down. That's it. The show's over. There's no need to discuss this anymore.
Thank you. Acting.
That's funny.
But there's so many different methods, so many different techniques of acting.
Yeah, I took Meisner, which we did the same thing. We had a private moment. You would come out in front of everybody and just like you came home from work, and you would, have a silent monologue in your head. Have a silent moment.
Right.
My favorite moment.
But at the end of the day, we seem to have a little bit of a delay between all the three of us. I noticed that.
That's okay.
No, what I was saying is that I forgot what I was saying, to tell you the truth. I had a senior moment there for a moment.
Go ahead, Roscoe. What were you going to say?
The moment I was at Laugh-In Comedy Cafe, and you were doing like Mike. I like what Mike says. Mike says he doesn't bring the cake to the stage. He makes the cake in front of the people on the stage. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, I say instead of you're bringing something to the party, and instead of bringing the cake to the party, make the cake in front of the people. build
Yes.
it in front of them, and like they're watching a cooking show, and they feel part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one part, there was some crowd work. Someone interrupted, and the way you handled the heckler was just great. And then talking about where you're from, Cleveland, and someone yelled out, Kentucky. And you just went like this. I'll never forget it. You went like this. And the laughter was nonstop. And then you tagged it with this. And then it was another, and that was acting. I mean, that was, you didn't fake that. You really took your internal emotion towards that cheeseburger, screaming out Kentucky out of nowhere. You're talking about Ohio. So the guy goes, it may not have been Kentucky, but it doesn't matter what state it was. You just went.
Yeah, I didn't need to say anything.
No. And it was two big laughs, and it got an applaud break before you said anything. And what your tag was, the first time you spoke, you said something, you go, what do you have, geographical Tourette's?
Yeah.
Before you even said the line, you got two big laughs just with the look.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to do in an actor is silence and saying nothing. That moment of silence when that's the most difficult thing for an actor to conquer, because really? the natural thing is to try to fill in the time.
Can you show me? Show me, Al. Show me.
Well.
The silence. No, show us how you do
it. It starts like this.
So let's see how long you've had classes. Let's see how long you can do it, Al. Come on. No, but what I want to know too is from Roscoe. What's going on with you getting into the clubs and stuff? What are you running into?
What right now? Currently, they're all closed.
No, I mean before. I know you were like. You and I would talk about, how we get into this club and that club and this club and that club. And you're really been a go-getter, and you're really aggressive about it. And I know you've had some success with it, and you've hit some walls with it. And what's been your experience?
It's just tough. It's just, I've done Gotham. I've done a lot of clubs in New York. I've done McCurdy's down here in Florida, which I love. That's an amazing club. But sometimes it's a boys club. It's like I'll say it right online. I don't care. Sometimes it's not always the funniest guy on stage. I don't care if it gets me in trouble. It seems sometimes it's
But you're such an incredibly nice and friendly guy. I just can't imagine anybody giving you any resistance. I remember I met you at Laughing Comedy Cafe, and you were just so. I have a great picture. When you call, it's on my phone. You were just so courteous and respectful, and you just humble. You were very humble, and you went up there, and then I watched you over time do all this other stuff. I mean, you'll drive anywhere. You'll drive, you're like I was. You'll drive 4 hours to do 10 minutes on stage and not even care about gas money or getting paid. I remember one time, Al, I was in Lake Tahoe with my family. I was just starting out. My family was having a family reunion. And Al got me a guest spot at the comedy stop at the Trop. And I drove 7 hours through the desert, not knowing if I got the gig or not, because I never got a confirmation, but I drove 7 hours, went into the green room. I went on stage. I did my 10 minutes. I had a great set. I didn't get a recording of it or anything, but I remember I checked into this seedy hotel with the mirror on the ceiling and the bulletproof glass, and I actually got dressed on the mattress because the mirror was on the ceiling. I went in, and the MC and the headliner were arguing about, and I go, what's, I watched him. He says, man, I want you to sell some of my T-shirts. The headliner wanted the MC to sell his T-shirts while he goes, dude, I'm not going to push your T-shirts. Well, apparently the headliner had a bad gambling problem, and that's how he would use his T-shirt money to do the gambling, whatever. They were fighting in the back, but I had a set, I did it, and then I drove 7 hours back. I would drive if Tampa, if I live in Fort Lauderdale, if they said they want a set, send a tape, I'd be like, how about I just drive over there for 3 hours? I'll drive over and do a 10-minute set, and I would do that. I would drive anywhere, bro. And I would do any comedy, anywhere, anytime. And
that's the only way to get better. The stage time. That's the way to do it. And under all circumstances, because that way you're prepared for any circumstance that you might find yourself in the future. So you have to do it all. You can't just pick and choose, especially in the beginning, what kind of places you perform. You have to perform in all circumstances. That's
So
what
how
makes
are you,
better, man.
how Al and I talked the other day about how we're feeling about not doing it. I mean, I am definitely jonesing to get on stage. How are you dealing with it, Roscoe? How are you dealing with not doing comedy right now?
I'm just doing a lot of the, the acting. I'm getting, that stage fright before I do a session on Zoom. I got to do a scene, and I usually do 2 takes. That no matter how, if you do a great job, the director wants to see you do another take. So that keeps me juicy. I have plenty of material. I already wrote. I almost have too much material for the amount of stage time I get. So I have plenty of material that I know is going to get better from the acting. Like take Sebastian. He's just an amazing actor. He can say the word paper cup, and it's funny.
Yeah.
So that's been keeping me juicy. I did one Zoom show last weekend, which went well. I haven't touched my material in a while, and it was the first time I touched it. But that memory muscle, I learned from diving into the acting even deeper that I really got to memorize my own bits even better.
Yeah.
I thought I knew them, Mike, and I thought I knew these, but now with these scenes, I know these scenes that I just got 2 days before I'm performing them. How come I know the scene so well? Because I'm repeating it. And what I do is I go bass fishing for 6 hours, and
Right.
I'll just repeat the lines. And my son, he's in theater, and I taught him that. We both got line learner apps, and we both go fishing for bass and repeating a line. So that's how I've been dealing with that. I'm looking forward to get on stage, but I've been, really focused on the acting aspect of it.
Good. I think I'm going to follow through on that. I know Al mentioned he's afraid that he's concerned that he may forget his act.
Yeah, a lot of people are. I mean,
Are
you see
they?
it all over Facebook.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of comedian posting the same thing. I don't have an act anymore. I don't know if I'm going to remember my act. Oh yeah. There's a lot of anxiety over that same feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about watching
I'm
your own
gonna-
tapes?
yeah.
Would that help?
I'm going to start listening to it.
I don't think it's going to be a problem for me. I don't know why I don't think that. I don't know why. I've been actually, since you brought it up, I've been thinking about that, and I'm like, I don't know. I hope I don't find out the hard way on stage, But what I do with a lot of my material anyway is I just have a conversation with the audience, and then when a topic pops up that's related to a bit that I have, I interject the bit anyway. So I don't have to do everything in the same order, or but I could see that. I think it's going to be better for everybody. Everybody's going to have to step up, and it's going to be good. And I do miss it. I don't know. I've been getting asked to do these Zoom comedy things for companies and private, shows on Gigmaster, and other people have been asking me to do that. And I find it's really hard. That's why I always found radio was hard, unless I could make the people in the studio laugh, or even television. I can't imagine doing TV or something, or comedy, without getting a reaction from the live audience. I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean, you need it for your timing. You need it for the, it sets off. I tell people all the time, laughter is part of our act. That's why when you get laughter, 30 minutes become 20, because it's part of the act, and that's what sets your timing for the next joke, and the whole demeanor and the whole way you get the the role going. It's all based on that, man.
Yeah. So I noticed Al made a post the other day on Facebook, and Al doesn't do a lot of Facebook, but I noticed that you posted something the other day.
The only time I post something political is anti-political. It's making fun of the people that it amazes me how indignant and righteous these people get about whether they're from the left or the right political spectrum, about what they say and what they think. And when I'm reading this, all I keep thinking is fucking Facebook. Who gives a flying fuck what Joe Blow from Bumfuck, Tennessee has to say about Trump or about Nancy Pelosi, or about who cares? And it amazes me. And that was my post about it. It's I mean, I think you go see a psychologist and find out what problems do you have with yourself that you let people like that get to you that bad,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
there is something wrong with them. And I think the psychology of it is people need to be a part of a group and they have to make that sound. And sometimes the sound,
tribal.
It's tribal.
Tribal thing, yeah.
And I'm
part
part
tribal
of the
thinking,
group, so don't forget about me. I'm still here. But the therapy, I mean, in psychology, I mean, they need some kind of counseling. And I do counseling too. And I almost thought that me and Al should go to couples counseling to work out our issue of last week. But no, I went to couples counseling. I tried it. I didn't really like it. I went to couples counseling with a girl one time, and I don't know. I mean, I went there completely open-minded, completely willing to do and try all kinds of new things. I was open to all kinds of stuff. I mean, I even said to the therapist, do you think that it's possible that she needs a lobotomy? I mean, I'm open to that. If that's what it's going to take
to make this marriage work, huh?
I'm open, Doc. Is this something we should be talking about? Yeah. Everything's on the table. I mean, do you think I should see other women? I mean, I'm open to all kinds of things. But,
I've always said that women, it's very hard to have a relationship because we're so different. We think so different. And women, maybe not all women, but a lot of women are suspicious. And another thing is that they jump to conclusions a lot. I tell my wife all the time, listen, if you ever find me naked in bed with another woman, with my penis inside her vagina and moving it to and fro, don't think I'm fucking her. I mean, don't jump to conclusions. I mean, be a little open-minded and let me explain,
Right. Right.
But they jump to conclusions.
No,
anyways.
They do. Like I got caught in bed one time by my girlfriend, and I just used that old excuse. I said, "Look, she's not mine. I'm just holding her for a friend."
Exactly. Did it work? Did it work?
No, I'm not a cheater, Al. I don't do that. But so Roscoe's married, and Al is married, and you guys are in place with your partners, and you have 2 kids, right, Roscoe? 2 kids?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Roscoe, the other thing, you know what else all of my good friends are? They're good fathers. Al's a good father. Roscoe's a good dad. I love when he does his videos with his kids and stuff. I just think that good dads just are important. And, you do a lot of stuff with your kids. But how is your wife feel about you doing stand-up and acting and all that stuff? How is she supportive?
Oh, God, she's so supportive.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
That's awesome.
I'm so blessed with an amazing woman. They have bumper stickers that say, "What would Jesus do?" I'm like, F that. What would Yolanda do? That's my
nice, Yolanda.
And she's been so supportive from day one. And she runs lines with me, and the kids run lines with me. And she's, I'll call her up. I go, did the scene come in that I have to do? Let's say today's Thursday. I have to do a scene on Sunday. Did it come in yet? And she'll say, "Oh, it came in. I'll print it out for you." And she's just so freaking supportive,
Yeah.
From day one. I hate, the only thing any room I'm in the house, she has to come in and dim the lights for some reason. She has to change the lighting of any room I'm in. That's my only pet. Otherwise, she's like the holy grail. But that's one thing I go, why do you got to come in the room and change the lighting? She'll leave the room and change the lighting. I'll have the lights dimmed to certain things. She'll leave and turn it off. I go, "Oh, I thought you wanted it off." But it wasn't off. That's it. Otherwise, it's great, And we have a great sex life. When we make love, we both pretend I'm someone else.
That's good. Let me ask you this: how old are your kids?
My son is going to be 12 the end of this month, and my daughter just turned 10. And my daughter just created her own Instagram account. My wife was against it. I said, "I'll let Ruby have her own Instagram. I need the followers."
So you getting at that age, your kids are getting at that age where you are going to be the stupidest man alive. They get at that age, right?
Oh yeah,
they go through that. Oh, they already started. Yeah. I went from daddy the hero to daddy the complete total moron that doesn't know anything. Yeah, but you get him back. In their 20s, they start realizing, my parents weren't that stupid, actually.
Yeah.
Well, they have to do that. That's how they get their own life. It's just part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Differentiate, and separation. I mean, it's like that old Mark Twain thing. I think it was Mark Twain. My dad, when I was 18, what an idiot. Now I'm 25. It's amazing how much that man's learned.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know who said it, but that's true. Yeah, it's basically
Yeah.
the same thing we're saying. Yeah.
It's developmental. They have to believe you're an idiot because they have to leave and get on their own.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's like finding their own excuse to be able to leave the nest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And think about what birds, I mean, the birds must have it really bad, because if I could either stay here with this idiot, or I can jump out of a nest from a tree to see if I can fly. I mean, that takes a lot of disgust.
I actually the mama bird actually pushes them off.
I know.
Yeah. I was just biking with my son the other day. He wants to bike by himself to school, and I was like, Ryan, we're gonna go for a lot of bike rides during this quarantine, and and he puts his earbud in, and I call him so I don't have to yell out to him what to do. But I have to tell him every driveway is a possible death scenario. You could always, and he's great imagination, but he's an imagination well. I'm stopping my bike, he's running into me. I said, Ryan, I don't want to shun or stunt his imagination, but when you're riding your bike, leave the imagination or put the imagination to the side. You gotta have one of those teaching moments, and that's what we were going through last week. That's why I'm bringing it up. And he's become such a better bike rider, looking out for, cars and stuff like that, because it's a shame. It wasn't like growing up a bike, we grew up in the 70s. I grew up in the 70s. I rode my bike everywhere.
Me too.
Drivers weren't texting. They were more observant. They saw me on my bicycle. They were drunk, but they saw me. They saw two of me. But nowadays, everybody's texting, so I got to make my kid hyper aware.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't want to create anxiety in him. So.
Where did you grow up?
Rockaway Beach, Queens, New York.
Oh, in Queens. Oh, Queens.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know Vic DeVitero?
I saw him a few times. Yes. Yeah.
He used to have a private garbage company.
Yeah, his dad did. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Well, he inherited, so him and his brother ran it for a while.
Oh wow.
Yeah. In Staten Island, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's funny. He's high energy.
Oh yeah. Did you see his last Facebook? YouTube thing. 28 million views.
Holy crap.
Amazing. Yeah.
Everybody was talking about it. Time magazine was talking about it. The Washington Post everybody was talking about it.
Yeah.
He got a lot of, he's a great guy. One of my last shows was with him at the Villages. And it was the day that a cop got shot on 95. He tried to stop and help somebody and got shot. So I was delayed by hours. So instead of getting there hours early, I got there almost just in time for the show. I was opening for him, and he did the coolest thing. I mean, I drove 6 hours. I was in the car for 6 hours, sweating bullets, trying to get there. And so they held the show for 15 minutes. Couldn't find the place. I don't know if you've ever been to the Villages, but everything's the same. I couldn't find the place. I finally found it. I pull up, and this older gentleman comes out, and he's very nice. And he goes, yeah, Vic just went on stage. And I was like, oh man. Okay, I understand. He goes, no. Vic said, go ahead, get changed, get a water, relax. And when you're ready to go on, come over to the stage, and he will bring you on, introduce you. You can do your 20 to 30 minutes and then bring him back out.
Wow.
And the only reason he went on is because they were going to show some of Vic's videos, and the guy accidentally played his intro. So when they played his intro, he had to go out.
Yeah.
But for him, I don't know, for him to say, tell Mike to be over here, and when he wants to come on and introduce me, my good friend, and it definitely made my show a lot easier. When the audience is there to see the headliner, and the headliner acknowledges you like that, I just think they give you a lot more respect. And then I brought him out. We hugged, we shook hands. I really hadn't seen him since back in the Boca Nuts days in person, when I first started. But he was such a champ, man. He was just like, and I would have been so bummed out if I didn't get to do my set. And I think that's probably, he realized that. Anybody else could have just been like, to hell with it, the guy's not here. But he didn't do that. And it really wasn't my fault. 95 was shut down.
No.
The only mistake I made was not getting on the turnpike earlier. But, it was and he was I went out and really killed it. He came back and he brought it to another level. And then they had like a meet and greet with him afterwards. Nicest guy in the world. Vic's awesome, man. And I love his shows. And I like his videos. He's very creative.
Yeah.
Did you see the one he did where he played Rocky, Scarface, and then some of his characters, and he plays all the different characters in the same room? I don't know how they do that. I don't know how they do it, but he's hysterical. He's very funny.
You know, he won. He didn't win the $100,000, but he won the $10,000 on America's Funniest Video.
Oh yeah.
Many years ago, when he got his kid when he was a little kid and put him in a suitcase and did a ventriloquist bit with an actual person with a little kid, and he won the $10,000. He should have won the $100,000, but he's been doing videos for a long time. He found a niche. He found something that he's really good at, and he gets promotion up the wazoo from all the videos that he does. Yeah, you know, that's what he gets people to. That's why people come and see him in the Grove, because he has such a great following. You know.
Oh yeah, and he goes and mingles with the crowd. I saw him at Gotham. He mingles with the crowd before his set. Yeah. He's in with them. Usually you don't want to be around anybody before you set. He's right in with them, and so high energy, man. Oh.
Yeah.
Natural born performer. All right, so what's next for us, man? I mean, what's next for you, Roscoe? What's your next step, goal? What are you working on? What's happening?
Just keep grinding with the acting and just put the work in, and try to get so good it's undeniable. That's it. Just putting in the work. And before this, I did 2 sets at Gotham, the 8th of March, before all this happened. And Jim Gaffigan happened to watch both sets. And the man, they said he was laughing throughout both sets, and he sat next to me and he talked to me like a peer. And that was like, it was amazing. The guy was so humble. It was beyond, and he just commented on a few of the punchlines. And we have the same acting coach. He worked with Joanna Bexon as well. She also worked with Ray Romano and stuff like that. And we talked about her a little bit in a positive way, but that was like, so I just want to keep plowing through this, and hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Do you remember, Al, when we were working at it was called Rascals, and it was in Kendall?
Yes.
And I was emceeing, and Andrew Dorfman held up a candle in the back and gave me the light. Now, I did not understand what this meant. I thought it meant, you suck, get off the stage.
Right.
And I sat down, and I was sitting next to Al, and he's like, what's wrong? I go, I got the light. And he's like, so? I go, no, man, I don't want to get the light. I don't want to get the light, but I got the light, bro. He goes, what do you think that means? I go, it means you suck. Get off the stage. He goes, no, it means you did your time. Yeah. I had no idea. I mean, sometimes it could mean if they give it to you in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Yeah, right. But for the second joke, they're telling you,
Al was also very supportive of me when he got me on the cruise ships, and we worked on cruise ships together. And he would leave me these messages like all the time, just so helpful. Like, hey, Mike, I was just on the cruise ship. What happened? The cruise directors, I don't know. Listen, give me a call and we'll see if we can work it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Something happened. I don't know what, but are you okay?
He would do this all the time, every week. And I would believe him every week. So what's next for you, Al? What's next for you, buddy? Where are we going?
Well, I'm working on a cure for cancer, world hunger, and world peace.
Nice.
And I think I'm going to be able to conquer all 3 by the time this thing is lifted.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. That's what I do every day when I get up in the morning.
Have you had any luck getting through to unemployment?
No. No
luck still.
No. I was one of the first guys to apply, and they penalized me for that. Now I have to start all over again. So I'm 6 weeks behind. Yeah. Because the system was not set up for independent contractors and self-employed. When they took my application, they were basically doing by the seat of their pants. And when they came up with a new system to allow self-employed people to apply, they didn't know how to incorporate it. So now everybody that did it before a certain date have to start all over again.
Wow.
So all those hours and hours of calling on the phone and nothing. So that's a nice way to end the show. Some depressing note like this.
Yeah.
And did you get that thing I sent you about the Small Business Administration?
Yeah, but I only have one employee, and if you get that, you cannot get the other one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can't. If you get that, you can't get what?
You cannot get the whatchamacallit, unemployment. The $600. No, not the stimulus.
Oh.
The $600 unemployment from
Oh, you can't.
You have to pick one or the other.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's next for me is to look more into the acting and do some more of this stuff to continue the stand-up guy radio. By the way, next week, Carl Remy is going to be on. Carl's
great.
a good Carl's a good friend of mine. He's crushing it. He's my spirit animal, man. He's working very hard at things. He's a very talented, funny guy. I worked a lot with him for a long time. And then the following week, we got Carl Guerra coming on. So these are all guys we work together on the ships and stuff. So that's going to be great. So do you have anything going on, Roscoe, that you want to tell everybody about or anything?
Check out my website, roscoenash.com. There's some clips there, which will bring you to my YouTube page, my Instagram. I have a lot of videos, a lot of content there. And
check out Father Coulahan.
Yeah, it's roscoenash.com. It's Roscoe without an E, but I also bought the domain with the E. Whether you do it, if you misspell it, you're still going to get it. Right.
And then Al has a billboard on 441. He has that. And this is Stand Up Guy Radio. And please, thank you for watching. And have a great weekend. And please share with your friends. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we're on Podbean. We have the podcast, and we plan on having a lot more good shows. And just tell everybody about it, and make some comments. And if there's something you want us to talk about, let us know. And so, guys, Roscoe, first of all, thank you very much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm glad that you were here. I enjoyed having you. We'll have you back again. And thank you, everybody. And Al, you want to say anything before we go?
Yeah, I want to say nice meeting Roscoe. Never met him before. Very nice meeting you.
Yeah, I knew
you guys. Good work.
Yeah, I knew you guys would get. We'll all do a show together sometime.
Yes, that would be great.
All right, man. Thank you, everybody, and good night.